What it do, my people? What it is? Back again. This is Culture Up Podcast, and today I'm here with two good homies of mine. I got Tony, I got Cody. We are at Kentucky Gentlemen. They got a couple things going on here, and I'm gonna let them kind of introduce themselves, tell you guys who they are, and get to it. So, whichever one you, Cody.
So I'm Tony.
Yeah.
Co-owner of Cap City Cigar Bar, downtown Frankfurt. It's the first of its kind in this area, so we're still finding our way through with it right now.
For sure. I've only seen like a couple different cigar lounges, like even in Kentucky type
Here,
stuff, so it's definitely like a newer thing. It's even dope that you guys got the old school feel that you can even come in and be able to sit down and smoke in a place,
Right.
That's definitely a dying thing right there.
Oh yeah, because people ask us all the time from other states as well, like how are you able to smoke inside? How are you able to do smoking and drinking off of both of them?
Mm-hmm.
What's the rules and regulations on that? Because they're just always so surprised. And then, like you said, they like the authenticity of it, more of a relaxing vibe. It's not
Definitely
like
is.
yelling over other people. You can sit down, have a drink with your wife or play chess with your guys, whatever you're doing. Celebrating a bachelor party.
Yeah.
It's not a one-dimensional thing. You can do it for multitudes of reasons.
Yeah,
Enjoy
for sure.
yourself.
A lot of people go to bars and, it's just party, loud atmosphere.
Right.
You can't sit down and have like just a conversation. So being able to sit down and having a drink and being able to smoke is like definitely a luxury.
Well,
Definitely
and
a
then on
luxury.
top of that, as he just mentioned, a lot of our patrons do bring their wives in, but we have a lot of groups of women that come in, period.
Just to
And
check
some
out,
of them-
yeah.
Some of them don't even smoke. They just like the environment, and they like the fact they're not getting hassled if they do want to have a drink. Because of the vibe we have here, it's not like, some drunk guy staggering up to them, hitting on them.
Right.
That
right.
type of deal. So
It's a safe place for everybody to come to.
Correct.
For
One of our
sure.
biggest event was a woman's event.
Matter
Out
of
of
fact,
all the
our
ones
first
we've done,
event.
yeah, our first
Yeah,
event,
yeah,
and it's been
yeah.
our best event was a women's only event. So,
yeah.
we have a lot of women clientele, whether it's on the bar side or the cigar side. We do have a lot of women who buy cigars for themselves, but also for their husband. I mean, there's a husband and wife that probably come every week and they get cigars for both of them, and that's what they do every weekend, and that's a part of what they do all the time. So.
That's
Date
fire.
night.
Yeah,
That's
got it
their
in their
date night.
routine. Yeah, that's fire.
Yeah.
That's fire. That's
Yeah.
definitely what you want as a business. And as a business, so it's like this is Cap City Cigar Lounge. And when I said Kentucky Gentlemen, I guess I'll let you kind of break down like how this got started, how y'all got in this building, like exactly what it started as and what it's turned into, and
Yeah, so Kentucky Gentlemen Cigar Company is my family's line and labeling that we've been making since 2005. My dad and mom started together, and he kind of got bored out of retirement. We were originally from California, and he did construction there. And so he was retiring from construction and lived in Kentucky, where he's originally from, and wanted to take it easy. Like I said, he got bored, so he's on a fishing trip with my brother and a couple of his friends, and they were just joking about like, what are you going to do for fun, for retirement? He's like, I think I'm going to do cigars, but it was mainly as a joke, because they always smoked cigars, had bourbon when they went fishing and whatnot. So then he went down to Austin, Texas, to a place called Babalu's on 4th Street, and they taught him how to roll there. He spent 2 weeks down there. They were just teaching you the rolling process.
So was it
every
like a
day.
school or something?
Yeah,
like
so
that?
it's two Cuban brothers that actually have had a shop for I think almost 30 years down there, and they'll teach you whether you want to learn an hour, 30 minutes, or you want to stay there 8 hours.
Wow,
You're just
that's awesome.
Go there all day, every day, as long as you want to be there. You get to smoke their cigars. I mean, they get to sell your cigars as factory throwouts, and they'll make $2-3 off your sticks, and they're getting free labor out of you. But you're also learning the process. But with that, they don't actually
that's
teach
the trade,
you.
though. That's the
they
trade
don't
of it.
actually teach you anything than rolling a cigar. You don't know what makes a good cigar. You don't know why you would roll this particular cigar. You don't know why you'd use this.
So
particular.
rolling
You just
only.
know rolling
Rolling.
only.
Rolling.
So from
Yeah.
that point on, he felt like he didn't know anything.
Okay.
So then he went down to the Dominican for a month and learned from a guy named Papo. He showed him the growing process, the rolling process, the blending process, the aging process, the curing process.
So he taught him the game.
Everything.
Put him on game
Everything.
all the way.
And just out of the kindness of his heart, he stayed
What?
with him. He's like ate
That's
with the
rare
family,
to
the family
find in
cook,
a
and it,
mentor
yeah.
at all,
And they were
man.
staying in a private resort, but he went to Papo's house, and he was staying with him all day, every day, just learning the process. And they were doing it for a month, and then he come back with that knowledge, and then wasn't even making cigars yet. Took that knowledge he got, started aging tobacco in a bourbon barrel, and then went to Buffalo Trace to be like, hey, what do you guys think about this? Wasn't even making cigars yet.
And they're like, make a cigar.
No,
just seeing what they thought about like the smells and the aroma of the tobacco
and everything. Okay. And he's like, we want to see what you think of how it works with if we age our tobacco in your bourbon barrels. It influences that just like your bourbon would. The barrels do a lot for the natural process of the tobacco. And they were like, cool, so we want 1,000 of it. Well, now he has to figure out what
that was
cigar
probably
to
like
roll.
a first of its kind.
Oh yeah, it was 2008 when that happened. So from 2005, that was from 2005 to 2008 that all that happened. Okay. 2008 we got Buffalo Trace and Blanton's, and now of 2024 we do 10 different distilleries.
Oh man, that is fire right there. So that's the Kentucky Gentleman side.
Yes.
Of things right there.
So to make Cap City to connect it with Kentucky Gentleman, we wanted to open up a bar and lounge, which gave you something to do in Frankfurt other than just being at a bar. So we want to do TVs, pool table, the relaxing experience. But when you go into starting the cigar bar side of it, you learn that, you know, getting cigars with other people's brand, that becomes one of your biggest overhead pricing. So to make the relationship very beneficial for both of us, if I'm able to provide the cigars, we get a cigar at a very low cost. But then we're only selling my brand, so we're exclusive to my brand, and we don't carry other people's brand, and that what also makes us different from every other cigar bar around.
That's fire.
So we have
That's
a
fire.
good experience, but then we also have my family's brand, wine labeling, that we feel is very comparable, if not better, than everything else that you can have in the market.
Got that right.
So, compared to other cigar lounges that you go to, like I've been to a couple cigar lounges, they're selling other people's cigars pretty much. You know?
Right.
They don't have an in-house cigar that that they're pushing as well, and especially not something that's built a brand and connection and marketing standpoint with different distilleries and stuff like that.
Like a common question I have all the time, they're like, well, why don't you have other people's brand? And I say in a nice way, I'm like, I am a brand. That was the point. I didn't want to have to offer somebody's brand because we made the brand. We are the brand. We are what you're asking for.
Yeah.
So here's what we
You
have
can find
to
every
offer.
type of variety that you're looking for.
If you like this,
right here.
well, I'll show you this. It's comparable, if not better. If you like this, you know, we have a lot of people that we just blow their minds. We have more people that are mind blown than people that are like, oh, I've had something similar like this. Because going in, they don't really believe that. They think we're just selling something as a product, as a brand, which we are. But then when they actually smoke it, they realize they're getting a really good stick. It's a really great price. It has great taste. It doesn't have some of the sour taste that some cigars give you. It's not bitter. And then, like, that's why I think we have a lot of women clients, because we give cigars that is going to actually be something you enjoy. And I think that's what ruins a lot of people on smoking cigars, because they had a really cheap or low quality or not a good recommendation on a cigar. So that's such a bad experience.
Some of them too dry, some of just bad experience.
And cheap, and people think our cigars are bad or low quality because I offer a good competitive price. They're like, oh, well, you can't get a good stick unless it's $20.
You can give good quality for a good price to people.
But
you don't have to.
My cheap price
overprice people.
My cheap price almost hinders or offends people sometimes because they're so set on the market, just like bourbon. Well, if it ain't over $100, or if a cigar ain't over $20, then it literally possibly can't.
They got that locked in their head, and they think like there's no way that people would possibly give a good quality product for a decent price.
Exactly.
Yeah. Nah, that's something that definitely needs to die out, because there's a lot of people that just do it for the passion of and for the love of. And with tobacco being one of those things that's been a dying industry, it's been on a up and down for real. I feel like just with vaping coming into play and people just not smoking tobacco like that. But it's definitely a luxury like anything else that we have in tobacco, bourbon. When you get into like things, different states like cannabis, it's all the same. It's a luxury that you can do it. It's a thing for the palate that I think a lot of people miss. Y'all have great flavors for every palate. I feel like from light to dark. I've had stouter cigars from you guys. I've had lighter cigars from you guys, and so you guys sell some of the cigars here as well, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, so we do like the ones we have here at the distilleries is Blanton's, but we also do Four Roses, Whiskey Thief, Castle and Key, Wild Turkey, Evan Williams, Elijah Craig, Jep the Creed.
That's fire.
We're also doing a new
That's fire.
cigar for a tequila brand that's like a bourbon tequila out of Louisville. It's like an añejo, but it's really smooth.
What?
Yeah, it's going to pair really well with.
I'm excited about
with,
that. I'm a
cigars.
big añejo drinker. So
Oh, and it's like it's a bourbon
yeah.
guy's tequila, and I don't like tequila, so the fact I'm stamping that it's smooth. You know, just one cube, and you just.
How'd you feel about like a añejo first time tasting it? Did it change your mind about tequila?
Yes.
Yeah, it changed my mind about
For
tequila
sure.
because like I was like I'm not a tequila drinker, and then somebody's like, nah, you need some añejo.
I was like, tequila
Right.
was so dry. But I feel like that was like with, I guess it's the same with vodka. You can have a vodka that tastes absolutely terrible, but if you have a really good vodka,
It's a
almost
really
doesn't
good
taste-
vodka.
it almost doesn't taste like anything
a
at
really
all.
good vodka is really good spirits are really good spirits. Same thing with tobacco.
Yeah, that's
really
the
good
fine
tobacco, really good tobacco.
Yeah.
Like
And it's funny, people are like, why do you use Kentucky? Why would you use Kentucky tobacco? And I'm like, you guys always forget, like, who was growing it if we're going far back. Like, I would say, let's go as far back as the original colonies.
yeah,
Who was it growing it? Not Nicaragua, not Dominican. They were for themselves, but guess where the United States started making cigars? In the United States. The colonies were all making United States cigars. You could get cigars that were from Boston. You could get cigars that were
everybody
from
was doing their
Connecticut.
version of tobacco.
Yes, and if you go through all the old brands, they were all American made. And we used to have hundreds of thousands of companies. White Owl was originally a cigar brand, not a cigarillo. That's something they transformed into eventually.
And that's here in Kentucky still, right?
Yeah, they
Yes.
originated in Kentucky, and there's a lot of other brands that either stay the same or stem to something else that start as a Kentucky brand. Like Woodford Reserve is owned by Brown and Foreman, and they used to make cigars and cigarettes too. And they've owned Woodford since like the late 80s, early 90s.
So these are crafts in Kentucky that I'm realizing the deeper that I get into, like it's a small population here in Kentucky, first of all, compared to a lot of bigger states and stuff like that. And a lot of these craft type businesses, everybody knows everybody and everybody does business with everybody because it's like real support. Like now there's competition in between that, you know, but I don't ever think it's too deep to where it's like, you know, nothing that we can't support each other with.
Right.
So like having the tobacco and the bourbon pairings, I think that is a fire thing, and I don't think they're doing that in too many. I mean, there's other states doing that.
I would say, I mean, they're giving you the experience, you know, that you can
Yeah.
have. But once the farther you get from Kentucky, they're not drinking a bourbon with a cigar.
Right.
They're not. They're going to have their tequilas, their rums, their beers, their scotches, their wines. Once you get closer here, that's when bourbon cigars really start getting real popular. And I always say all the time, like when Joe Burrow smoked the cigar in the national championship, that was so important for cigar culture and pop culture, because somebody in pop culture has always smoked a cigar to me, and that's always made cigars last longer and last longer and last
Keeping
longer.
it alive.
Keeping it alive.
Yeah.
And Joe Burrow being young brought the younger crowd in there that's not always been there. But
Even
same with
seen the
bourbon.
cigar.
Yeah,
Yeah,
bourbon's
yeah.
getting younger too. So, and they go a lot hand to hand, not just like with the flavors and, you know, being from Kentucky, things like that, but like all the notes they give you, whether you talk about caramel, vanillas,
For sure.
chocolates,
For
nutty,
sure.
earthy, woody,
When it gets to the
leather,
terpenes
raisin.
of what you're smoking and everything, and having a palate for it,
You
the
can get
more
that
that you
deep.
do it, the more that you can understand the complex flavors that go on with it. Because I think that we've talked before, and you had said like, so what to you guys is like, what is your blend of cigar? Like, what is y'all's blend? Like, what's your favorite blend that you smoked on?
The favorite that we have of mine, I have a couple of favorites. My
Okay.
go-to on the average day is one I'm actually smoking on now.
Which is?
Which is the Kentucky Cuban,
Yeah.
which actually does have Cuban seed in it. Hence,
Okay.
Kentucky Cuban. And it's a really, it looks dark like a Maduro, but it smokes more like a Habano. So it's got that sweet aftertaste, and it's not, Connecticut to me is really light.
Okay.
And then that Maduro.
Connecticut tobacco is really light to you?
Correct.
Okay.
But the Habana is right in the middle. And I mean, you're not getting a heavy smoke that'll make you choke or nothing. But at the same time, it's not like you're puffing on air, if
Cool.
you know what I mean.
For sure. Cause like, so it's weird. I had a piece of, I got a wood the other day that was from Connecticut, and I thought it was really stout. Like I thought it was a lot stouter than what I've normally had. But can you guys break down a little bit of some of the differences between tobacco? Because like,
So real quick before we get into that, I want to clear something up. We were just talking about pop culture and how tobacco is taking a couple big hits.
Yeah.
You know, along the way, cigars have somehow still kind of managed to rise above all that. So
And
with
stay alive.
cigarettes, that's a whole different ball game.
Right.
Whole different tobacco, whole
Right.
different taste, and whole different bag of health issues
yeah,
that goes
for sure.
along with that.
Yeah.
So, one thing here at this particular cigar bar, we don't allow tobacco smoking, period. I mean, I'm sorry, cigarette smoking, period.
Yeah.
Reason being, the after smell, the nicotine that clings to all of the walls and windows and so forth. It really gives it, and nothing against those who smoke cigarettes. I did
but,
for 20
but,
years.
But the filler tobacco that they use in cigarettes and what they
And then with the filters and all of that,
Yep.
all those chemicals leave a different odor. So it smells, and it's a lingering odor.
Mm-hmm.
You smoke one of these and you come back tomorrow, it's going to smell like, it remind you of your pawpaw.
Yeah, for sure.
With that sweet
for
smelling
sure. That's
smoke
that's
that he
I
used to
really
smoke.
like
It
the
almost turns
cigar
into
smell
sweet tea.
because of that. The
Right.
memory that comes with
Right.
the
And
smell
it's
of
kind of
of
nostalgic,
cigar.
you know what I
It
mean?
is. It is for sure.
And it gives you kind of like a warm feeling when you walk through the door and you're like, I mean, we hear it every day, and he'll tell them too, come on in, the smells are free, you know, and they'll come and say, it smells
That's
so
fire.
good in here.
That's fire. That's
And we
fire.
have many people that come in who do not smoke, and they'll say, well, I don't smoke, I just enjoy the smell.
I understand that.
You know what I mean?
I don't smoke often, but I do enjoy the smell of a cigar. If I smell a cigarette, like I'm almost like, smell horrible. I hate the smell. Of
Especially
cigarettes.
afterwards, yeah. If you
Yeah,
walk in,
like
it smells
that.
like an
But
ashtray, a
like
used ashtray.
it's something about the cigars. It just like I don't know.
Sure.
It's almost more natural smelling in a
Right.
sense. And
Right. Right.
I've
Now,
always-
I'm not, please don't get me mistaken. I'm not saying these are healthy or good for you.
No, not
Okay,
at all, not at
yeah.
all. This is one of those things, like we talk about with alcohol, like we talk about with recreational smoking of cannabis. Like it's for terpenes, it's for taste, it's for flavor, it's the luxuries of being a human. Fuck,
luxury.
I mean, we go through so much stuff in life. Like we look for the small things that we get enjoyment out of.
Sure.
And one of my favorite things is flavor.
Mhm.
And that's from food, that's from drinking, that's from smoking.
Mhm.
I enjoy flavor. That's
Sure.
something that I will always enjoy, and it might not always be the best, but it's this is what we're here for, is to
Your
experience
guilty
life.
pleasure.
Yeah, my guilty pleasure for sure.
I always
for
tell
sure.
people all the time, like sometimes the experience of smoking the cigar isn't about the cigar. It's that the fact that you're going to be able to take an hour out of your day,
Yeah.
an hour and a half out of the day, 2 hours,
And
but
sit.
you have to finish that and not waste your time or money with a
Yeah.
cigar, and you're going to have that time to yourself or with your family or whatever, maybe
With
by
your
the
thoughts,
campfire.
yeah.
What, hunting, fishing, whatever it is you do, working, you just have that time that that
It's the
me and
ritual
cigar.
of the ritual of.
You set that time out
Yeah,
aside.
just sit.
Where you
Let me
can
just
just
sit down
relax,
for a second
relate,
and
release.
just you get my thoughts together
Right.
for a second. And it's one of those things, like I tell people all the time, I can't inhale cigar smoke. It's a different type of smoke for me. I can smoke weed all day. I smoke weed most of the time,
we
but
don't
when it comes
never.
to cigar smoke, I can't inhale regular cigarette smoke or cigar smoke.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
I
only
can't.
very few people who's been smoking a long time, or they can just handle. Because it's not that it's
I blow it straight out.
More
I taste it and
nicotine.
blow it out.
Right.
it's
smell
just
it.
a lot thicker of a smoke.
More dense smoke.
It's
yeah.
more dense. Yeah.
Is there a certain way that you're supposed to taste a cigar?
So just in my opinion, and I feel like everybody's different. You can do it however you feel, and each person probably might tell you a little bit different. But to me, it's the same thing as like what they tell you in the tours at the distilleries of bourbon. I want you to smell it first, take that in, let those chemicals settle, and then you take your first puff. To me, you don't even understand the smoke yet.
Yeah.
That's just smoke on your palate, and now you just taste
Getting it warmed
smoke.
up. Yeah.
And so when you start going to that second and that third draw, you're going to taste the flavors. But this part of your cigar is going to taste completely different.
Mhm.
But then when you get past this band, it's going to be like a whole new cigar, because
Word?
there's
I
tobacco
don't ever make
in
it
the,
that far.
there's the tobacco in the
And
cap here
and
that's
then
not
the
through the rest of
nicotine.
the cigar here.
Excuse me.
And then the shorter your cigars get, the different flavors it's going to give you. So if I roll the same cigar in a longer side and a thicker side with the same tobacco, each one's going to taste different because of how it's giving you that tobacco throughout the smoke.
You got
So
a
the
cutter
structure-
One of y'all got a cutter real quick?
I don't have one I can grab.
Yeah. It's all good. Yeah. So I'm looking at this. This is pretty wild stuff.
So
right
those are
here,
called
man.
are Trace Kappas, Triple X.
Oh, I gotta walk up to the camera with this one right here.
And that was my sister's idea originally, to do something a little bit different than what I have, which is the twist, which gives you the duo of the wrap. That's a tri-wrap, but she does it in the X style, which is why we call it the Triple X.
That is fire.
But funny story is you can't call it the Triple X
Right.
because there's a very popular cigar brand
Oh,
from Fuentes, which is one of the biggest companies out there, Arturo Fuente, and they have something called the Opus X. Opus X. And
Okay.
they literally have X
Patent.
trademarked.
Yeah.
You can't use X as a Roman
Other
numeral.
side. Other side.
You can't use X as any, it can't be used for the years, it can't be used for just a letter. They have it all trademarked for
Yeah.
X.
wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty deep right there.
Deep.
That's
deep.
good marketing. I mean, you
So-
got it on a hold right there.
So the second part of your question, you're answering it right now, or you're about to find out the
Okay.
answer. When you asked me, when I told you my go-to when I'm smoking every day is normally this Cuban. When I'm pairing with a bourbon or I'm in a celebratory mood, I typically smoke the one that you're smoking now. And I personally think that that's the best cigar that we put out by
Okay.
far.
So this is your favorite right here.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's a mild to
And
medium
I
blend
will-
right there, like it's in the middle.
Okay.
So if you were comparing it to a bourbon, it'd be like 90 proof,
Right.
95 proof. And then like a mild cigar would be like in your 80s, like your real low bourbon, and then the full bodies are like 100 and plus. That's kind of how I always relate to cigars.
So when people come in and they drink, they're looking for bourbon and they're looking for that pairing, and they're like they're not deep into bourbon, so they're not liking like the deepness of like a Old Forester 1920 or nothing like that, and they're looking for something light. What type of blend are you gonna recommend in the pairing of cigar? Are you gonna tell them to go to?
I'm different than I would say most of your people who are trying to pair you a cigar and bourbon. I think you should go opposite. So if you like a high proof bourbon, I think you should go mild to
Light,
medium.
okay.
Because
Right.
if you go high and hot, dark and dark, it's going to just mute together. They're giving you the same flavors.
Okay.
They're not going to switch up anything else. They're both going to offer you the same thing.
Right.
That's
And if you
fire.
go with a light bourbon or a light beer and a light cigar, it's going to do the same thing. They're going to, so I like to do opposite. So you go mild to medium on the dark stuff as far as your high proof bourbon, and you go medium to full body on your really easygoing sweet bourbons, old fashions, things like that.
How do you guys come up with y'all like blends that you do?
Give people cigars, have
See
them
how it
try 'em.
tastes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Human interaction is the best way to figure out if it's
Yeah.
good or bad.
Yeah, it is.
They'll let you know real quick. And that's what I want to know. I said if it's terrible, just like there's a wrap, it's a green wrap, it's called a Candela wrap. I don't personally sell a Candela wrap because I think they're absolutely terrible, and everybody that I've offered them to thinks they're terrible. And it's the color of like a gangrene,
Okay.
but it tastes like you just picked it off the plant. It
So
is
it's way too
chlorophyll, earthy,
yeah, oh,
green.
no,
Like
no,
I almost,
no,
and it
no,
gets
no.
sour and bitter.
Yeah.
But some people really, really like that. It's a whole thing. Like,
Almost like it, yeah.
That sounds like an IPA to me.
Pale ale of,
oh yeah,
Yeah, that's what I was
It
about to say.
really
Yeah, it
would.
sounds like an IPA to me. Like,
it really would.
Yeah,
It really
yeah.
would.
Man, that's not my palate.
Yeah. So, yeah, but some people love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, so, and speaking of palate, I just want to say shout out on this old fashioned right here, made by the man right here. Yo, if you haven't got a true old fashioned come down here and definitely try one of these bad boys.
Yeah.
This is fire right here.
And guess what? It's good even in a plastic cup.
Yep.
Oh,
In the
that's what
plastic cup.
it messed me up because I was like, my best old fashioned has been in a plastic cup. It's pretty wild.
That's why I thought it's funny that you said that,
I
because
was
we get slack on the plastic
man,
cup situation all the time.
Nah, I'm more. I probably have
So,
quite a few plastic cups at the crib myself.
Are you going to ask the proverbial question? Why the plastic cup?
Yeah, please tell me.
So, when Cody and I first came together and put all this together, and it was just over a phone call that I'd received from my kids telling me about my previous business, and they were like, you're more suited for like a jazz club or a laid back environment.
That
like
is your vibe. That is your vibe.
The restaurant industry at that time was taking a huge hit. Right in the middle of 2020, nobody wanted to come to work, and if they did, they wanted $15 an hour plus all the tips. So, therefore, I felt like I was working for them; they weren't working for me. So it was time for a change.
That is real. That is real. That is
Basically.
yeah.
So at that same time, Cody and his mom and his sister, they were doing their thing here, but Cody felt like there was something missing that he and his dad had always talked about. And so he said, well, I hear Tony might be making a transition.
Yeah.
Let's see if he'd be interested in coming and working out something with us. So I came over. They were in the back on a big order one day, and I rolled this old bar right here. It's on wheels. I rolled it down here, and I said, well, do you guys mind if I move some of your furniture around and show you what I see? And at that time, because of the space up front here, they had a storefront.
Beautiful space. Beautiful space.
They had a storefront, but they weren't utilizing a whole lot of the front. And I could see a big U-shaped bar here. So I took a couple of display cases, just like it is now. We set it up, Cody and I. Took us about 5 hours one day. We walked out our spaces between the booths and everything, and brought in a carpenter, and he threw up these, semi-walls for us and whatnot. And I went home and grabbed some chairs, and they had some chairs here. We just pushed it all together, man, and it just
went
came together.
It looks good.
It
It
just
feels
came
good.
together.
I love these chairs right here, classic. Like you said, like the smoke reminds you of Papa, and then I see this, and this definitely reminds me of something that my granny would have right now.
Yeah. So we did all that, and we were like, I think this would work, but we didn't have, and we still don't have any plumbing. So
Up front.
if you have glassware, that's going to involve your food health inspector, because now you're getting into juices and berries and
Way to
you're gonna
find
need
the rule.
hand wash.
Way to figure out how to work around it. That's
So
what you gotta
got the
do.
hand wash sinks and all of that. You got to clean your glassware. This is disposable. So
And if you're smoking, the glasses you clean are probably going to be dirty by the time you pick them up again.
That is real.
Because
Just
it's
from the
gonna have-
residue of the smoke.
right. So we just
Works
decided, for now, until we get a permanent bar built all the way around like we want, we have to use these. So
Hey, as an entrepreneur, in the business world,
yeah,
and because you've had a couple. This is your. You've been in a couple different avenues.
Right.
So, and that's a beautiful thing in the entrepreneurship, because the more that you venture off and learn, the better off you are in this, because
Right.
it's a hard game. It's not made for everybody.
right. Well, I can tell you, we've been blessed, man, because your average bar, and I know we consider ourselves more of a lounge, but your average bar and or restaurant don't make it past 8 months.
That's
They usually say if you make it a year, you're gonna make it
yeah.
in this industry.
So, like in business, I've always heard 3 years, but I guess in something like this is like a make or break type.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're gonna invest a lot, and if you don't grind it out and make
Right.
it work,
Right.
it's not gonna work.
It's gonna suck you out.
Yeah. So since y'all have came together and did the Cap City, have y'all came into any speed bumps or anything that y'all didn't expect, or has it been a smooth transition to a cigar lounge and everything? Just for people who's watching this, even interested into the tobacco industry or anything like that.
I think maybe as far as the local side of it, I was kind of surprised more people wouldn't think of it as, not even saying like partaking the cigars or the bourbon, but as far as like naturally grown either business or tobacco, or like maybe even for as a history standpoint, like, you know, like I've always said, like, you know, I would like to work with 4-H or like, you know, I don't want to say I don't want to say because you can only do with tobacco. You can't do certain things in schools.
Yeah, I get that. I get that. But at the same time, it's for agriculture.
More outreach.
I feel you.
And to make it more of a.
Let's stop making it a taboo and let's bring it in. Like, no, we're not promoting them to start smoking at 10 and 11, but teaching them how this is a cash crop for Kentucky, I think is very important because we've lost a lot of cash crops here.
Yeah, and then why Kentucky is important. Like, literally, why would they grow here? This is the place. Other than we don't have 3 more months to have a good growing season. If we had 3 more months of good weather,
this would be California prices out this month.
It'd be the best place on earth. If we
no, nobody would move to California. They'd move to Kentucky at that point. We got to deal with a little bit too much cold for something.
If we can make it to October, November on some 70 still, it'd be perfect.
And honestly, but our seasons have changed.
It has. It's gotten better.
It's pushed back to December when cold really starts setting in. Right. Because it used to come in like November, and then by December it's snowing, and then January it's cold, but February it's warming back up. Right. Now February it's still fucking cold.
It's cold, and we're like, okay, we're kind of ready for.
Yeah, we still ready for March to come and be like, all right, it's warm outside. Nah,
right, no,
it's May now, and we just now hitting 70s. Like real so, tough. The season has definitely pushed back a little bit. So we do have still the same amount of days, 180 growing days, but it's a different growing season here now. Yep. So if you start humidity. High tunnels and you do everything how you need to, you can get a amazing grow.
You know how many people would be? I know that's crazy that you said that. Don't understand what you just said.
What's
the grow
that?
Tunnels.
That's
how you have to make it work here. It has to be able to let water in and out. You can't saturate. And like, if you walk through your yard after a good rain anywhere, it's swamps. We literally live on a swamp when it rains in Kentucky.
No, this land is perfect, but you do have to work with it.
Yes,
it's not something that you're gonna be able to just set up your tobacco grows and expect it to work well, because there's a lot of swampy places, and then there's a lot of places that just don't have, too dry.
It's not good.
We do live in an area that has a lot of hills and stuff, so it depends on where you're at, and you're gonna have to work with the land.
But that's good for us, because if you go to Connecticut, PA, Dominican, Nicaragua, everything's grown in valleys.
Is it?
Because they get that fog, that moisture, that in and out, hot and cold, because it differs every day because of the valleys and everything. So
do y'all travel for y'all cigars and like tasting or anything like that, figuring out what
y'all do? Yeah,
we'll
go down to Florida, we'll go down to Dominican, Nicaragua, we'll go up to New York, Tennessee, Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina.
So y'all moving and grooving.
Yeah.
Moving and grooving.
And just here alone in Kentucky, we got Richmond, Mercer County, Bowling Green, Bergen, Hodgensville.
This is fire, by the way. I've been over here buffing away on this mug. Like this.
So his dad, when he first started, and I heard the story from him and his mom. They basically told him, "You're tripping. You're not going to be able to grow that kind of tobacco
in Kentucky."
Yeah, because they were used to more tobacco for
cigarettes. Yeah.
And so when he did go down to Dominican, he was able to acquire some seeds. And brought those seeds back and proved them wrong.
I think if you can grow it in Connecticut and PA and all that, we could definitely fucking grow it here.
Yeah, but the quality of what was grown here
it's because of what was marketed to the farmers at a certain point.
Lime water.
Yeah,
It makes a big difference.
Huge difference. Huge difference. That's what makes Kentucky.
Yeah.
Like
not just for the bourbon.
Yeah, it's for everything. It's for everything. Lime water comes in handy for everything. Water, high nutrients for any plant. That's why we got a great grow season for everything. This is our state has so much potential. We're like, I think, top 5 poorest states in the country, but we have so much potential for what we could produce for the whole United States as a nation, because as far as the holy grail, if you will, of luxury, you got bourbon, tobacco, and soon we'll have some medical cannabis here. So once we get to recreational, I think that we'll get to a point where we get to start doing craft stuff like we have the tobacco and the bourbon. and then it will be the spot to come to in the country as far as the trio of luxury when it comes to
Well, I like to say the trifecta.
the trifecta. The trifecta, yeah.
And then back
for
to like history and stuff about bourbon and cigar, like locally, a lot of people don't know is, I mean, everybody used to travel from Kentucky down to New Orleans on the flatboats. We were bringing bourbon, we were bringing rum, we were giving tobacco up and down. So we were getting good quality tobacco from New Orleans, they were getting good quality tobacco from us, and we were just going up and down the rivers on the flatboat. But none of that's talked about here. We used to have one of the biggest populations of flatboats here in Frankfurt comparative to Ohio, Louisville.
So we lost that with the craft tobacco.
Most people don't even know that we had a huge flatboat industry here in Frankfurt, Kentucky. And they were shipping tobacco and bourbon just up and down the river.
That's probably part of the reason that we probably became the capital. Is
Well,
that
E.H.
river-
Taylor helped
yeah.
keep it here. There was a guy who was a firefighter, the head banker, a sheriff, and he helped keep it here. So a lot of, again, local people are the reason why Frankfurt, and I've always been a firm believer, and that's how it's going to continue, is the local, whether it's business or athletics or whatever, just local. It comes from the locals.
I love
at the end of the day.
The Frankfurt thing right now, and there's been a lot of progressiveness in the last, I'll say about 5 years or so.
I agree.
I really appreciate Frankfurt right now for the progressiveness. So it's nice because there for a little while, I could only imagine how certain business owners felt trying to make it through Frankfurt. They make it hard still as a business owner. I'm not gonna front. Like, it's not the easiest hoops to hop through when you're starting a business anywhere, I'm sure.
Right.
Being in a capital city, politics a little bit different. Everything's a little bit stricter.
Sure.
And
More
we're a
by
small
book.
town. We're one of the smallest capitals in the United
I think we're
States.
top
So
5.
yeah, it definitely plays a huge role in how small business is affected, because everything they do up there affects us personally.
Right.
So I feel like y'all being here and starting this and surviving past that time period is a huge thing for Frankfurt, and Frankfurt should definitely be giving y'all the respect and love that y'all deserve, because y'all are making it it's a good energy place in here. It truly is, and you guys are both educated on what you do, and if the passion as well for what you do, it's amazing.
Appreciate
So
that.
there's a lot of businesses that come and go in Frankfurt, and I feel like people who actually have passion are the ones that last. So we see it. I mean, the ones that don't, they come and go, and it's nothing against anybody. It's just,
Yeah, you got to be here when it sucks. You got to be here when it's good. I mean, I tell
part
people all
of
the
it.
time,
It's part of
wintertime
it.
here is brutal. If you don't understand
Especially
that,
wintertime
Winter here-
downtown Frankfurt
Downtown Frankfurt.
you're a different animal.
you make
if
money
can
6 to
survive
8 months a
through.
year.
Like,
Those rest of it, you better save and just refigure and prepare for next year during those slow months. Just revamp.
A lot of people want to put that on many different factors. One of them being the lack of parking and so forth.
lack of parking is definitely a reason. Hopefully, a parking
But
garage
if you
helps.
think
But it's
about
not
it,
far.
almost any downtown you go to, even if they have parking meters,
It's hard to park
It's
anywhere
hard to
down
park
park.
anywhere.
I've been to downtown LA. Show me where to park, please.
Nowhere.
right?
Show me where to park. It
Right.
actually took a homeless guy hollering at me like, "Hey, 50-cent parking over here,"
Why don't
and
you-
I went over there and parked because I was like, "Okay, that was
Why-
the only
why don't
place
you
that I
go-
knew where to park."
Well, why don't you go down to Times Square?
Please,
Exactly.
I'm good on
so,
that.
So the parking issue.
It's not that big of a deal when you go to a
is not that
downtown
big of a
anywhere.
deal.
And our
Yeah.
block is not a normal city block. 2 of our blocks may be counted as a half a city block.
100.
If one.
From your business to my business may be a city block.
There you go. Yeah.
You cover half of
You
downtown.
crossing a bridge,
You
2
crossing-
blocks, a courthouse, you crossing
Couple
everything.
stops
A
out.
library, like
Yeah.
couple churches by that time
Yeah.
in our city. So it's not that big of a deal when it comes down to it all depends on your location of how many people's in your location and everything.
Location.
Yeah.
And we are really sitting on the gold mine because we are 5 minutes from Buffalo Trace, yes.
Yeah.
But Buffalo Trace, who's not even on the Bourbon Trail, is a big part of the Bourbon Trail. Did you know they're not even a member of the Bourbon Trail?
Nah, they'll be able to see that on my face. right there, because that was new information to me,
Yeah,
for real.
so-
the one of the oldest distilleries in the world, one of the biggest, the biggest distillery
So
in the
you
world?
have to like give
what?
Bourbon Trail like 10, 15, 20%, something like that of what you make because they're bringing tours to you. Buffalo Trace said, well, we're so big and we bring so many tours ourselves, why would we need to
We
give you
don't
a
need
cut
it.
or a percentage?
I mean, there is
So they're
a
like, no,
snake
thank
line
you.
outside of their stuff every day.
So they're like, no, thank you. But I would
Twice on
say,
Sunday.
wouldn't it
Twice on Sunday.
be,
Yeah.
I would say, wouldn't it be amazing if Frankfurt could get 1% of what Buffalo does each week? But we can't. We probably don't even see 0.5 of it. And it's crazy
They
that there's
got
not bus,
that-
there's
that's
not buses
wild.
up there
That's wild.
shuttling people straight from Buffalo Trace down to downtown Frankfurt, or at least a sign that says,
Well,
"Come
I've
to
always said
downtown Frankfurt
Buffalo
where the
Trace
best
is
shops."
in Frankfurt, but it's always kind of disassociated itself with Frankfurt at the same time. I'm not shooting no shots at anybody.
No.
It's just been kind of
No.
how it. It's like K-State in Frankfurt. Like,
Right.
you get what I'm
They're
saying?
our
Frankfurt.
backyard.
There's certain things in Frankfurt that Frankfurt just. The city and the company just, I guess, don't agree to in some ways, but I feel like there should be a lot more connection between
Right. And
that right
I
there.
think we're going to start seeing that now, especially with more options down here. Even though some would say, well, we got enough bars downtown. The last thing we need is another bar. And then on the other spectrum, you got the realtors who are saying, well, we got enough Airbnbs. We don't need another Airbnb. But I beg to differ. Being that it's attracting so many tourists.
The thing is, if you want to generate money for people who work here, your servers, your people that work in the restaurant industry, your downtown community, you have to give them a reason to come down here.
You need that traffic.
I am not the biggest bourbon person in the world.
Right.
I have no problem saying that. Do I enjoy a bourbon? Hell yeah, I do. But am I the biggest, like, go out here and support bourbon guy? I'm not. But do I support it bringing tourism down to Frankfurt and bringing money to Frankfurt? 100%. And if you go to any other city in America, you're going to downtown. It's going to be a more business economic part of the city, because you're going to have your hotels, you're going to have your Airbnbs, you're going to have all your bars and everything in that location, so the rest of your city can be the rest of your city.
Right.
Your downtown is your entertainment district,
Yeah.
and that's what it's made for.
Right.
Like, you know.
So I think we're starting to lean that way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they got the entertainment. I'm glad you used that word. They have the entertainment district now.
Yeah, that was new. I mean,
Yeah.
you couldn't walk. It's home of bourbon, and you couldn't even walk around downtown with a bourbon.
With a drink.
Pretty crazy.
Right. Right, especially on the weekends. You know,
Yeah.
I think them being a little more not lax. They become a little less tense.
Yeah, less tense because they're not lax whatsoever. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
But by them allowing a little more freedom to enjoy and go from bar to bar and so forth, or actually not even bar to bar, but business to business. Because when I go to the merchant meeting, you know, they're saying, yeah, if they have the open container and they come into, say, the clay pottery, you know, you're welcome with your drink as long as you don't break or spill on anything, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think having that freedom will actually work.
It will make people want to come downtown. Like, even people in
And
Frankfurt,
visit.
everybody in Frankfurt goes to Lexington, they go to Louisville, they go to other places to go have a drink because they don't feel comfortable coming downtown because there wasn't an entertainment district
And
for the
they felt they
longest.
would get
Now that
hassled.
we have that,
Right.
you know, we could, on days that we do the summer concerts, and
Right.
you can just, you know, it's a family-friendly event. Everybody's drinking responsibly. Like,
Right.
you know, everybody's out here looking out for everybody. And
Right.
that's what we, as a tourism standpoint, that's what we want to share is like the you know,
Right.
we all do this together and
So
we
when
are
I
doing it
first-
responsibly.
Excuse me, cutting you off. When I
No.
first moved the restaurant down here from Versailles, it was referred to as a mall. This was a mall, and by getting back to that type of vibe, everybody's included, not just the bars, but
Yeah.
you know.
I'm not gonna lie, because when I was
Yeah,
down here, I felt like it was a
bookstore.
little bit more like before I moved across the bridge. When I was down here, it was a little bit more like I messed with y'all.
Mm-hmm.
I messed with y'all. I mean, I messed with everybody, but it didn't seem like everybody messed with me, or everybody messed with everybody.
Right.
Based off certain things. I'm like, we're all down here together. I don't
yeah.
understand why, like, during summer concert series, there's no reason that everybody shouldn't be doing raffles at their place that have a little bit of everybody's stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and just real interaction between everybody.
Sure.
So, and I think it is there now. I think it's a lot more there now, and it's getting more there.
Right.
But it's because of businesses like you guys, and sticking around and saying, I want to create a certain environment.
Right.
And Frankfurt's one of those places, like many places. If you want to open up a business, the city is what you make it. You can go to any city that you want to. You're going to run into the same type of problems. So
Sure.
it is what you make it.
Yep.
And you guys have made this spot definitely a dope spot and a comfortable spot.
Appreciate
so,
it. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Now, is there any type of for you guys, y'all got any type of future things going on or anything like that?
Only thing I think to mention right off the bat, and I'm sure you're probably going to say the same thing, is summer fall we're hoping to launch our private membership lounge.
Oh,
You know,
yes.
we'll have the courtyard in the back for outside seating, like gazebo, thing like that. The inside seating for just the members with their own bar. For the top members, they'll have their lockers where they can keep their cigars of bourbon, get cigars of the month, their own prices on liquor, things like that.
That's
and then we'll
fire.
maybe be able to host events out in the back, have our own little food truck for the members or the guests in here and things like that, and be able to give them something to eat and have a band outside or something like that.
So do y'all have a time date on that right now? Because we're going to probably put this out in like a month or so. So we'll put this out in June. Say this is June and everybody's seeing it. Like, what's the timeline
August,
that we're
September?
looking for?
Yeah, we're looking at the fall.
Yeah.
So for the fall
Yeah,
time,
for the
perfect
fall.
time. Ain't nothing
Yeah.
like being able to. Summertime, it might not be everybody's time to come step
Well, you
out and
got
smoke a cigar. For real,
vacationers
but
and then-
in the fall time,
Yeah.
that fall time hit, perfect time.
Yeah.
Like,
It start
And
getting a
then
little chill.
We're wanting to hopefully potentially host some, have our own events at maybe at Whiskey Thief or Jepta Creed and something like that, just so we
Okay.
can host something to hold as many people as want to come, not just limited to so many people as maybe our members or things like that.
Right.
Be able to have a bourbon bash or get together and collaborate with one of the distillers we're working with and just have a cool celebration and mix the local businesses and cultures and things like that.
Right.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
dope. That's dope.
And,
Looking up
and
what
then
these
we
distillers-
still have, our celebratory parties here, just not like we tried the DJ thing. That didn't go over too well because we have to be respectful to other tenants in the building.
Right.
But we have 14 units, residential units above us.
That's a whole nother type of
So-
entrepreneurship right there
Correct.
in a smaller town.
Correct.
Like in New York, might not be a problem. Big
Correct.
cities might not be a problem. Small cities,
Small cities, yeah.
you got to shut shit down at a certain time.
At a certain, and you got to keep your noise
Yeah.
level at a certain. So we, like I said, we tried a couple of blues bands. We had a sorority party when K-State had their homecoming, and as a whole, it went well. But there were a few complaints, and so we said, okay, no more parties and so forth. But then we're now thinking of some other things that would draw people in along the vibe that we've created, such as spoken word, or maybe
That's fire. That's fire.
and that's coming real soon.
Yeah, that's fire
That's
right
coming
there.
real soon.
Yeah.
So like a spoken
Different type
word,
of events,
slam,
just bringing it together.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It shows the next generation too how to do it. Like, you feel me? Like, you just gotta try stuff.
Yeah.
Like, it's not what is the game plan. The game plan is try it till it works. Try it till it works. Eventually, something got to crack, right?
Right.
Like, you feel me? And when it does, we're gonna put that into the routine and figure
Right.
out something else for the rest of the time.
So we're also going to have some more stuff geared toward our ladies, paint and sip.
That's fire.
Yeah.
That's fire. Speaking of ladies, I know there's one other person that probably has a lot to do with this as well. And would y'all want to speak on that a little bit?
Yeah, so that's would be my mom, his wife Carol Mobley. I mean, she's the workhorse, the brains behind it all, more or less. She's the one behind the screen, the Wizard of Oz, that you would say.
Yeah.
As I told him earlier, she's the glue.
Yeah, and
yeah.
we're the face,
Yeah,
more or less.
yeah.
And put her actions into action. And then another thing to add on to her, KGC's 20th anniversary is coming up at the end of the year, so it'll be 20 years that we've been in business. So we'll be releasing new lines and things like that as well.
20 years.
20.
To be able to even say that in the game, bro, is absolutely ridiculous. So like, flowers for that.
Yeah, and then another thing we were looking up with Mom, there's not a woman cigar owner or roller or entrepreneur or whatever in the cigar industry in the United States and or Kentucky and things like that.
So she's a one of a kind.
Yeah, she's a one of one, and that's not that's not posted anywhere. You can't really find that. Like she's really the only one.
But she's not doing it for the glitz, the grits and however you say that shit.
The glitz and glamour.
Yeah, the glitz and glamour shit. Yeah, but she's doing it because
Yeah, she has a passion for it, but it might not be the same reason why we like it or why we do it. Hers is, but she like quality
control.
Team, though.
It takes a team.
Yeah.
It takes a team, and without every core part of that team, it does not work the same.
Right. But I tell you what, when it comes to being on point, she has certain standards that, and especially on the quality end, that have to be met.
Yeah.
Before any of them hits the counter or go out there.
Yeah, and that might be like, it might smoke fine, but it might have a blemish on it or looks, and she won't put it out.
She would not put it out.
Because she don't want somebody to say, well, that's a bad cigar before they even smoke it, just because.
Because first experience is everything in this game.
Right.
If your first experience with a cigar is bad, then that's probably what you're going to talk about.
Well, let's say somebody gets a Blanton's or a Four Roses, and sometimes the cigars, you might notice little white dots on them, and it's just from that particular leaf. It's nothing wrong with it at all.
Yeah, they're like sunspots.
No, but if they see any discoloration at all, they'll be like, whoa.
Same thing with fruit, vegetables, like how they do. If it's not the highest quality, people don't even want to look at it. It's a marketing thing. It's a shame, honestly, because if people really think about, like, we talk about different industries like that, people always want to hate on like waste and shit like that. Well, we waste a lot of shit in this world, and it's because it doesn't look right,
because
it's not up. You get because of cosmetics, and it's like, if you look past that, it's the same exact thing, just the cosmetic blemish. But that's awesome to have that type of mindset too, because in this day and age, like you said, one wrong cigar to the wrong person.
Especially
with social media, man, the review game is everything right now. When you get one bad review, people take that, they won't even look at the other 100 good reviews. They're like, fuck those good reviews. Look at that one bad one though.
Yeah.
Crazy.
It's crazy.
It is. That's another thing. Just living through as an entrepreneur, like that a lot of people don't realize is like the scrutiny and the hate that you get as an entrepreneur, just trying to please, like at the end of the day. And then there's a certain point which is why I love you guys, because you guys are your own personal selves. If you guys come into here, this is the same two people that you're gonna talk to right now that you're gonna see when you come in here and you get your cigar and you get you a bourbon. This isn't no act. This isn't because the camera's here or nothing. These are the two guys that I talk to every time that I see them. So even if I don't see them for a second, when I see them, it's the same type of energy. It's the same type of love.
Yes, sir.
So I say that's another thing that sets you guys really apart is your guys' care for your customers. And I just want to say, like, I appreciate y'all being in Frankfurt for real and holding it down here, because y'all could probably go anywhere else to make this idea work, but y'all sticking around here gives people inspiration to keep doing things like this. Yeah. So, well,
I'll tell you what you got going on has inspired quite a few people too.
No, it's much
especially a young man, everybody's got some type of background. We all three of us do.
Yeah.
But we got over that hump and here we are.
Yeah.
And I think it's cool to see it. Like, I'm younger than you, and I've seen it just from being here. How much you've grown and stuff like that. And
I appreciate it.
3-4 years and add COVID on top of that. Like that alone, just like for any of us,
it definitely
cigars,
put us all in something.
Food and then haircuts, it all affect everybody, and they're all completely different from one to the other. But
right.
Everybody still needed every one of those.
It gave us all respect for each other, for sure.
It did.
Yeah, and it gave us we need each other.
Yeah, because COVID was the one thing that you're like, well, if something like that happened, couldn't you even survive through it? And so it happened. So now you're like, well, if we can get through COVID, at that point, it's just another
business day at that point.
Right.
Shoot,
right.
COVID was a.
But when I see you young cats, coming up, and you guys are in the game, and you guys are putting your own spin on it. It just motivates me even more.
Good.
You know?
That's what I. That's
To step my game.
Yeah.
And I think that should be for all of these cats out here who are kind of settled and not willing to change or work with change.
The thing is,
we're evolving every day.
the generation underneath even me. I'm 33 now, so I realized like I have a barber, JD, that works for me. He's 23 years old.
Mm-hmm.
He is next.
Mm-hmm.
There's no question about it. That's the
Right.
next generation. That's the
Right.
ones that need to be feeling like they have a sense of power with their words in their community. And if
Sure.
they don't feel that sense of power,
Right.
they're not even going to try to open up a business here.
Right,
If they don't feel like that they can make a change here, they're not going to stay here.
right.
So us sticking around and like you being an inspiration to me being an inspiration to you, and sticking around and showing like, yo, it's hard,
Right.
but it's worth it.
It's working. As
It's
long as we're
and
feeding
it's
off
working.
each other.
Yeah.
Because most people believe you have to leave here to make it work, and like that's like be the first person to do it. Then it might not be easy, it might take longer, but I feel like it'd be cool
It's
to be
more-
the first at
it's-
something
it's
that
real.
go into either New York or Texas where everybody's doing the exact same thing and been doing
You
it.
go to those places, you're dealing with so much competition. If you're not set in stone with a big major business, it's hard to get it set in stone.
Mm-hmm.
Like here, there's a lot of things that the foundation have not been laid for.
Yep.
So if you have an idea as somebody that is in the younger generation, go for it. That is what we're on this podcast here for, is just talking about real stuff that we've dealt with as a business, real stuff. Like, it's not easy. It's not easy whatsoever.
And the
It's-
hardest part is just doing it. Like, but then after you do it,
You're like,
it's
okay,
easy.
I'm here.
Then
I'm
I
here.
don't actually. I guess I shouldn't say easy.
It changes.
But you just build
Yeah.
it one after another, and just the next day.
It gets
I'll do
easier.
tomorrow.
You build strength
Yeah.
for it. You build strength for it. When things pop up, you don't freak out as much.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Honestly, they say more money, more problems, and that is real shit. I never understood it, and like the problems that pop up are pretty wild, and you'll look at certain situations, and be like, how are people get in those situations? And then you'll be the one in that situation, and you'll be like,
I can attest.
I mean, I can attest.
attest.
Like, it's real. You just, the business world, and people put you on a pedestal. They expect you to keep up a certain reputation. You almost become a entertainer at a certain point as a business owner, especially in a small town where, like, if people don't like you, it affects your fucking business.
Oh, it does.
Like, it's one of those things in a big city. Doesn't
Nobody
really matter.
cares.
You got
Nobody
so
cares.
many people.
Nobody cares.
Nobody cares. But in a small city, your locals affect your business.
They really do.
And that's something that more locals need to realize here. There's no reason to go anywhere else when we have things like this right here downtown.
And I always say, and it's not always, but a lot of times, and it's, you know, it's great, but it's sad. It's some of the best and biggest support I've ever gotten is the farthest you get out of this area code and state.
The farther they get away, the more support they have for you.
I have more regulars.
It's
and
crazy.
Appreciation from people that is farthest from this area.
100%.
So
And I
funny
have
because we
and I
do
have a
have-
lot of people that do support in the area. We have a lot of people
For
that
sure.
support all of us in the
So
area.
I
many.
mean, from the east side and the west
Yeah,
side.
But
Louisville, Lexington.
I still
Purcell,
see a
all that.
large. If you build it, they will come, and that's real shit. Like, y'all want to make Frankfurt something? Let's make it something. Starts by us sticking together, opening up businesses, and saying we're gonna make this work together.
Right.
But if we don't stick together, it's not gonna work. So, you know,
Because I always say, if you got all the local businesses that's owned by actual individuals and they put on an event, would be bigger and better than any event of people who got funding and just
100%.
based off of, like, if it, let's
100%.
just say it was me, Tony, you, Sig Lusher, you know, Whiskey Thief,
we
you know,
live here. We understand what the people want.
Jim
we
Seafood,
talk to
whoever
the
it is.
people.
Yeah, it's all
so
everybody's. It would be one of the
biggest
you know,
events that
biggest
Frankfurt would
event.
have.
But you know, you don't get the support not from the locals, but from the people who would actually put it
Empowered.
on.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they're going to put it. If you gave that idea, they're going to take that idea most of the time and run with it. But to be thankful for the Bourbon on the Banks is becoming one of the bigger events that we have, and
will
it's becoming
say,
what Bourbon Fest
yeah.
used to be in Bardstown that they ruined.
This is my biggest thing that I want to say though, and I haven't said this yet. It's just been an idea. We have a huge field right by Sig Lusher, and it's not being used for much.
Nope.
But Louisville throws multiple music venues where they
it
line it out with food trucks and everything. You feel me? We have a 3-day music venue, a 3-day concert out there, like a mini festival.
Yep.
The hotel's right there. People can stay there. Brings people down. Brings people from other cities. We get all the local downtown community still close enough to where people can walk down here. We put a map down there, and we have a 3-day festival, line it out with food trucks, and that's where the Civic Center used to be. It used to throw events like that.
So-
It would be beautiful to be able to throw something big that brought more revenue downtown, and we're not idolizing some of the spaces that we have.
So I when I first came down here, how we even crossed paths first time I ever laid eyes on Cody. I had this big idea of doing a wing festival, and I went to every single business down here in the mall, every single one, and said, "Hey, if I was to put on this wing festival, would you guys be interested in maybe just sitting a table out in front of your establishment?"
That's it.
And then we just shut the downtown down and make it a mall again, just for one day, one whole day. I'll bring in a battle of the bands.
It would be amazing. It would bring so much.
So now you got food, you got music, and then you got all this different shopping that can be done. And I got the okay from everybody, and everybody wanted to participate. But then when it came to, like you said, getting everybody to come together and putting this together as a team, nobody had time for that.
No.
And I couldn't do it, and I still can't do it.
It takes a
all
team.
myself.
So like we want things to work out here in Frankfurt. We have to put everything aside and make it work. You know, we have to figure out a time. I know we're all busy. We're all business people, but
You
all the
wanna
way
hear
from
something crazy?
go ahead.
I have the permits from 3 years ago, still sitting down at City Hall, and they're like, "You paid the money for them. We got you.
So you could still
I can still."
But it's all
put
comes
I'm
down to
going to put it
insurances, policing,
Exactly.
bathrooms.
and like you said,
Exactly.
that's going to come down to a team
That's
of
gonna come down
people
to a team.
with specialties who take over certain roles and put this thing on
Delegate.
together.
So I actually hollered at one of the main players of Bourbon on the Banks, and she said, "Well, I can help you, but I'm not going to spearhead it because I'm doing this." I respect that,
No, for sure.
but I also appreciate the fact that she was willing to sign up to be a part of it
And even help.
and even help.
Yeah.
You know, so and I reached out to a couple of distributors, and they were like, "Yeah, you know, potentially we could be interested." But then when I did my follow up on them, crickets. You know.
And they want you to find at least one sponsor, and,
Yeah,
and most
which
of
I
your
have
options
a
here are the
sponsor too.
banks. But
And the banks only support certain things here. Banks only support what they want here. So,
The credit union actually showed quite a bit of interest.
that's what's up.
Yeah.
That's what's up.
So-
Out of all of them, for real, I would say that would be the one that I would probably go to try to do something like that because they seem the most inclusive with everything.
As far as
supporting everything, they throw a lot of events and everything like
Sure.
that, and they're at schools and everything. So I would
Sure.
say I don't really see the other banks like that, but the banks here really do have a whole lot of a pull on what events get thrown downtown Frankfurt and who gets sponsors and stuff. So.
you know, and I remember doing we put a billboard out on the east side, right there on Versailles Road by Miguel's, and before we put that up there, I asked people downtown if they would put. I think it was if everybody downtown that was like one of the popular businesses put $25, it would pay for like everybody would only have to put $25 in a month for a year, and nobody wanted to do it. So I just
That's
did one
crazy.
myself. But you could have been like all the best shops or all the best businesses in downtown.
Promote it as
Frankfurt.
a whole.
12
Promote it
miles
as a
away.
whole. Yeah.
Music, food,
All that.
shopping,
Yep.
historic downtown.
historic.
It's
all
one of
of
the only historic capital. Like this place is very. You come down here, you fall in love with the beauty. So
And it's still like authentic and actually old. It's not like new old.
no,
It's
not
actually
at all.
genuinely still
like
old.
the shop I cut in was built in the 1880s.
Yeah.
Like real deal. Like
Yeah, people are like, I've been gone 30 years and it's still the same. Like
Yeah.
that's
yeah.
how
You
which
walk
is-
in, you feel it. You can
Yeah.
see it. You can see it from the outside, and it's not a bad thing.
No,
it's
it's
a aesthetic that you can't get and remake in this
Right.
day and age.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I hear it all the time, man. This is so cute down here. This is so
Beautiful.
pretty down here, you know.
People coming from big cities to come see this because it's different. You got trees. It's just beautiful down here. The river's
You
right.
got trees.
I mean, you got trees in the city, but you can walk right to the old Capitol and there's trees right down.
So
I mean,
shout
you
out to the
like
Historic
lit-
Society
for keeping it
Yeah.
preserved and everything.
Yeah.
So like, it's a beautiful area, and y'all are in a beautiful location right up the street from the river, and man, I hope many more years of success to you guys. And
Same
what
with
you
you.
guys do, and you know, we need to probably sit down and make an event ourselves here soon and do a little something. You know.
I do want to say something that I think is important as far as where you're at right now. What you do is like, since you're over there by the school, you're all about the kids and showing love, and that's who's going to remember. Even if it's not about cutting hair, you doing his eyebrows or letting him, dribble a basketball in your lobby or whatever it is, joke with you, steal your whatever it may be. He's going to remember that for the rest of his life, and it's not just because you cut his hair or just because you own a business. It's like you're giving back in that way, being right where you are, where most people in downtown Frankfurt or the politicians or people in charge aren't doing that. You're doing that, and you don't have to do that. It doesn't, other than the goodness of your heart, it doesn't make you money to do that, things like that.
This community, anybody that knows me knows I grew up right up the street. Like, I've been in the same 1 mile radius a huge portion of my life.
Yeah.
But I'm living, like, I feel like I live a great life living right here. And I feel like the motivation that I try to give the next generation can make this town whatever they want to. Make it for what's right for your generation. Don't make it for, I'm embracing change when it comes.
Right.
Eventually, I'm gonna be somebody that's just trying to sit down and chill at a certain point anyway. It's gonna be a young person's fight.
I think it's important to talk, good about things to do in Frankfurt and good about Frankfurt, because a lot of the locals here is like, there's nothing good in Frankfurt, nothing good
There
about
is.
Frankfurt, and we're all doing the opposite side, showing people that
That's
there's
what
a
we're
lot
trying to do.
Yeah,
that's
and
literally what we're trying to do
there's
is
a bunch
give
of opportunities.
people the opportunity to have something to do and something safe and come have a good time. You ain't gotta. The point of coming out is to have a good time.
Like
Let's make this a community that when you come out, you just have a good time. You leave this little town like, damn, I hear stories about the crawl that was like, yo, had a good time down. Everybody was having a good time down there. Let's make it to where everybody have a good time. They go back to their city like, hey, you ever been downtown Frankfurt one time and party? Like, good time, good vibes, good energy.
And I always feel like we should have like artisan carts here on the weekend. Like if some girl wants to sell her jewelry she makes and rent that for $50 a day or whatever it might be.
On the corner.
Yeah,
that
and
would
then have
be
a girl
dope.
selling her
That would be
flowers
dope.
or.
So,
Boy, we about 5-6 years behind that right there,
Have
boy.
you seen the bar bike that's coming?
I did see that. I seen it
That's-
recently.
Those
was
types
fire.
of attractions are really.
Yeah, that's
really
what it's gonna give people
unique.
that rent the Airbnbs something to do besides just drink
Exactly.
and sit. Like, you get what I'm saying?
right.
Like, let's give them activities because we got the amphitheater right up the street off the river.
Yep.
Right.
Why ain't we doing a show over there every weekend?
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
so.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna take good minds like you guys to and all of us to keep coming together and stuff, man.
But I hear a lot of conversations. I mean, this is a nice size area, but it's still within earshot. And I hear these types of conversations, and I'm starting to hear more. So I'm glad that we're able to.
It's not a taboo to have these conversations and talk about like what the upgrades of Frankfurt should be without people feeling like we're talking about the city.
But then we also, we got a senator that's a regular here. We have a lobbyist that's having his own personal cigars, his own line of cigars coming out that we're going to make and sell here.
That's big. It's dope.
But I'm just glad that we're able to provide a spot where you can have a Republican and a Democrat leave the Capitol, come down here, smoke a cigar together, and have a bourbon.
Man, that is a beautiful thing right there. And in Kentucky, I mean, our flag literally says, "United we stand, divided we fall." So I feel like that is a thing that we really need to be focused on in our state is bridging that gap and stop seeing people as left or right, Republican or Democrat, and all that. Let's just work together. Let's just work together for this next generation. Because if not, we're gonna fail them. So it's about putting all that.
I've seen more bipartisanship in here
Yeah.
than I have anywhere, and I don't really talk politics.
Yeah.
I don't, or religion, especially when I'm working. You know? But I have heard, and people felt comfortable enough to come here.
It's
and
dope
like
to
you
make
said,
it that type of safe place.
Yeah.
And it starts with y'all, just having the open conversation. It's the same thing with the shop. We control the energy of our
Exactly.
business. So when people feel comfortable, like you're a therapist in a sense,
Yeah.
you know, I allow political and religious talk in the shop as long as there's a general respect for everybody
Yeah.
involved. No belittling, like we just
Right.
having conversations.
Just having
you know,
conversation.
Yeah.
we're not saying that one's right, one's wrong. We just having conversations.
Just learning from each
That's
other.
it. That's
Just
it.
bouncing
Because
it
at the
off.
end of the day, I guarantee there's something that we agree on too.
Oh, yeah.
So, and I think instead of searching for the things we disagree on, I think we should probably start sharing a cigar and start looking for the things that we agree on before we start looking for the things we disagree on.
Right.
Let's
Right.
find something to work on before we start disagreeing with each other.
Right.
Like, you know, so man, y'all built an awesome spot, and I'm man, y'all really helped me out on short notice too. Y'all, you know, I called yesterday, and I was gonna call y'all in about a month and get this set up, but y'all being able to do this on short notice and being able to help out, man, it is very much appreciated, and I've enjoyed having y'all
Well,
on.
was a
we're
pleasure,
glad
man. It
that
was
you
great.
reached out to us.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, and actually invited us. And yeah, I think what you're doing here, this is big. This is
It's part of the promotion of Frankfurt.
Yeah.
You know, it's culture of, and like eventually I do want to get bigger than just Frankfurt.
Sure.
But like the whole point of this podcast is to show the culture of where I live too, and where I'm from.
Where I'm
And a lot of people don't know it.
This is where I'm from right here, and I'm gonna rep this shit to the day I die. Frankfurt,
Right.
Kentucky is where I'm from, and I'm hoping that I'm gonna be here for the rest of my life too.
Right.
For real.
a lot of times I used to like to say it ain't where you from, it's where you at. But in your case,
This is where I'm from and where I'm at.
and where
Same
you
time.
at.
This is where I
Best of
hope to
both
be at for
worlds,
the rest
yeah.
of my for the rest of my days, for real. I want to make this place exactly what I see it for the future.
Sure.
So we right here with it.
Everyone?
And everybody, you know, you already know where to catch us at. We on YouTube.
Yes, sir.
I want to give a big shout out to Lyle, and I want to give a shout out to Clear Motion Creation today.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Corbin.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. The homie, man. He's doing everything from epoxy, from your tables to your floors to any epoxy needs that you need. Also, shout out No Limitations, bro. If y'all ain't checked out, that's another local thing right here in Frankfurt. So go check them out as well. And until next time, man. Y'all have
Thank
a
you,
good day.
guys.
Peace,
Peace.
man. Much appreciated,
Yes, sir.
fellas.
I
Much
appreciate that.
appreciated,
Thank
fellas.
you,
Yes,
man.
sir, man.
Yes, sir.